Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Society of Owls podcast. It's crazy. It's been a really long time since we've recorded one of these. Literally, the last thing we put on the channel was the Slime Quest. But we're here to finally do a long-term big review of Archaeology, and we've got a lot of guests today. Or regulars, but one guest. So we've got Avernic.
Hey, posting a stream over here.
Yep, come watch us stream this if you are watching this stream this. Good job.
That's not going to happen.
But yeah, we are live streaming this podcast episode, and then we'll port it over to YouTube. Next up, we've got Captain Lime for the first time in a while.
Hey, I'm back. Kind of. I don't know if I can be called a regular anymore since I haven't been on one of these for years.
You're definitely a guest.
I used to be regular.
He's a regular guest.
I used to be, yeah.
We've got Walter in the chat, and we have a very special guest, Sliske, also known as Zoinkwiz.
Hey everybody, yeah, I'm definitely not a regular. This is my first time, but it's fun to be here. Yeah,
thanks for being here.
Awesome, and good job on finishing the skill.
Yeah, he just got 200 million XP in the skill yesterday. Way ahead of the rest of us.
Did you finally get some sleep?
Yes, I did. I slept a good 12 hours. It was great.
Good.
Amazing. What rank did that put you at getting it yesterday?
I was still only like 212th, I think. So that was 211 people who were playing far more than me somehow.
Blows my mind.
Getting mad.
Dear God.
Which,
like I was joking yesterday, I'm just barely over a mil in the skill. I'm at like 1.4 mil. So basically, he is 200 times more efficient than I am at the skill.
And I think I'm solidly second place in the clan, and I am only at 32 million experience out of the 200. So you have quite the head on everyone else.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, the quarantine does crazy things to you.
Really
I
does.
agree.
But I'm the lowest of the bunch at 76. We got Walter. No, Lime, are you behind Walter?
I am behind Walter. I am at 89.
Okay,
so
Walter's at 93. And then Avernic, what did you say you were at?
108.
108. Alright, so we got a pretty wide range here. But we have all at least been to each dig site because I'm currently standing in Warforged, so come at me.
Finally.
At long last.
Yeah.
It's taken you a long time, man.
Very
Come
long
on.
time.
And you're only seeing the very top of it.
Yep.
There's more to go.
I mean, you can kind of like cheat your way in using T like I did, but...
Why bother?
Yeah, let's wait till 83. Yeah, so the skill is finally here. I don't think I ever thought it'd see the day.
Me either, but I'm glad it is.
Yeah. Yeah, let's
Host it, Lime, host it.
Do it.
yeah, let's get started with some mechanics.
Yeah.
We decided to break this down so that we're going to do all of the spoiler heavy stuff much later into the video / stream.
Figured we'd give a good like cutoff for when the spoilers start rolling in.
Right. Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
a
with that in
gathering
mind,
skill.
we're gonna go ahead and talk about just like the basic mechanics of the skill, what we think of it, and then we'll go ahead and hop into the reward space after that.
I think we're a little rusty.
Yeah,
That's okay.
It's been a little while, but this skill, just to start, it is AFKable as all hell, as I said earlier.
And it has drawn so many people back.
I mean,
With the AFK-ness of it, with the bespoke uniqueness of a lot of the parts of it, with the lore part of it for the community we're a part of.
Yep.
Also,
It has a lot of appeal.
this is it's a strange time, and it means that we're inside a lot and doing stuff on the computer always. And just the way that RuneScape is, it's very conducive to a global pandemic. So this was a good time for a skill to come out.
Right, especially this skill. I mean, they described it as being a very RuneScapey skill, but it really doesn't capture that. You can AFK it most of the time and pay attention for the really exciting bits. And
basically, whenever you get a lore book or somebody talks to you, yeah.
Or you find an area, there's a cutscene or new relic or all those things, but in between, just you can put it on the side and it works perfectly fine, enjoyable even.
I don't know if I'd go about enjoyable. It's neutral when it's just AFKing it. Like
I enjoy it.
I enjoy it, I think. Especially at certain spots where you're like looking for certain drops or you're looking for certain pages, or there's always something you're looking for. And you can always, whenever you turn back over to see whether you've gotten it or not.
As I've mentioned before, I think a major success of this skill is the way that it builds goals upon goals upon goals upon goals upon goals.
It uses the achievement system to its utmost benefit.
Yeah, it sets up achievements really well, but then additionally it just makes great use of, I want to work on this mystery, I want to work on this research, but I've worked on this mystery, I've worked on this research, okay, but what's next? Oh, I've got this artifact that I can work on. Let's go ahead and try and get this artifact. Every single thing builds up to a greater whole, so every time you finish working on something, there's always something else you're ready to work on.
True, but at the end of the day, when you're just sitting there excavating, it just feels like a grind.
I mean, it is. It's RuneScape we're talking about here.
I mean, it's an MMO, so...
I can't say it was always, like, the most, like, momentum going on. Like, there were grindy points, but I think I've gotten through a lot of those gaps. And those gaps have to exist if you want to put things in the skill later on, obviously. And those gaps are kind of infrequent, which is pretty surprising for a brand new skill. Like, it's not like you unlock something at level 60 and then you have to wait till level 70, right? Like with mining or something like that.
Yep.
It keeps going, and the worst gaps are like 5 levels maybe, and that's like once or twice in the skill.
Right now I'm at that 5 level gap, but I have 2 different things to work on right now, with 2 different mysteries going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that big of a deal.
It could be way, 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 way worse. Like, it could be divination, right?
Yes, it can obviously be worse. It's just not...
It's still a skill. At the end of the day, it's not a quest, it's a skill. Which is... I'm not going to fault it for it as much as I would be like, well, this mini quest called Majra Memories had me grinding for 45 minutes between every lore drop. It's a skill, so it didn't go into it thinking I'd get everything, one after the other.
Right.
But mechanically, it's pretty simple. You follow the time sprite, you dig stuff up, eventually your bar fills up, you get your artifact, and then you restore your artifact for the big XP drop. Keep going.
Right. And I think me and Fang streamed this the day it came out, and it was pretty intuitive, and it had a lot of momentum that first day. Yeah. We went for 12 plus hours, and we hit over level 50 with no sweat.
Yeah, it was very impressive day one because, I mean, even like the collections, it was always just this forward momentum of, I need materials to finish this artifact. Oh, well, I need this artifact to finish this collection. Oh, well, I need to finish this collection to get this reward.
Mm-hmm. It kept going.
Yeah, it did a really good job of that.
So Zoink, did you find that day one was pretty quick, or was it pretty easy to figure out, or was your mind blown?
It was very, very quick. I think, if I remember correctly, the first day was actually when I managed to get the what was it called? Sorry, actually, no, I can't say. It was one of the mysteries because we're not doing spoilers yet.
The ancient summoning stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. I think that was all first day.
Yeah.
So to think all of that happened in one day, it's a lot was going on.
Right, and you were making so much money from that.
That was nice. I think the first few pouches were going for like 10 mil each. So I just made like an inventory, and suddenly it was just 280 mil. So that's pretty nice.
That's nice. That was the water fiends or the Ripper demons?
So I started with the water fiends, and then once other people started seeming to do those, I wanted to get a few Ripper demons. I think actually the first of that was 20 mil. So that's
crazy.
Yeah, I think in general, I expected to lose quite a lot of money training the skill. However, because I've been at least somewhat in the top percentage, I've ended up being the first to quite a few, one of the first to quite a few milestones, such as Ancient Summoning, then Ancient Invention, and then the 2 weapons, which has meant I've managed to sell them quite early on when they've been quite expensive. So I think I've actually ended up despite buying my way through the entire skill, about 300, 400 mil up.
Nice.
Which, yeah, I'm very happy with. I expected to be bankrupt.
The trick is to not worry about getting rank 1 so that you don't have to buy a Guildmaster Tony's.
Sure, yeah.
I feel like between that and buying Chronotes, that's where a lot of the lost income came in.
Right.
Yeah, I think, I didn't buy all of the boosts for the entirety of the skill, especially not early on, because each one was I think the top people were paying like 20 mil an hour just for all the boosts.
Yeah,
I could not sustain that.
I was really amused
even
by how many people
that?
were complaining about
Streamers.
the cost as well. Like, none of it was required. They're fairly small boosts, so it only really mattered to the people racing.
Right. I've only started using them at level 99 plus just because
Speeds things up.
50% extra experience I'm gathering, that's an extra 50 experience per material. It ends up being a lot.
And that's on top of already having
before it was
the
like
outfit.
10. Right. Yeah, it ends up being worth a lot more at the later levels, at least the free boosts, because I'm not really looking to buy too many of them from the actual shop at this point. Day one was quite the show. It was
a whirlwind.
So much better than I expected, both as like the game wise and also like as a personal training stuff. Like there weren't really any bugs, so there wasn't really
it felt very
any tragedies.
Very helpful. I think the biggest bug that I remember seeing was just that the staff didn't work.
Yeah, sure, and I mean that eventually got fixed, and it wasn't like
I don't
the end
have
of the
one,
world.
so it didn't matter to
No,
me.
yeah, it's fine. Not many people do, especially now the drop rates got nerfed. Fortunate for us, but yeah, launch was pretty good, and it's been a month now, and we're all still kind of doing it. I don't think Zoink's probably doing it that much anymore. Moved on, greater,
You
better,
sold out
things.
all your materials, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
There is another bug, the armadillo vanishing because of the quest.
Oh, but that was a pre-existing bug. That was unrelated
That's
to
a
archaeology.
desperate times bug.
Yes, because somebody decided that would be a good idea. Like,
yeah. So to clarify with that one, basically people discovered that Armadillo was not on top of his tower like you would expect him to be after finishing Sliske's endgame. There is a relic or an artifact that you need to give him in order to get a relic, and so people were really confused as to where he was. Turns out, from our understanding, that Desperate Times, part of it accidentally resets and like sets you forward in a Sliske's Endgame replay.
No, that wasn't an accident. It purposely did that so you could review a cutscene in Sliske's Endgame as like a hack. But what that means is that your game state is still that you're in the middle of Sliske's Endgame, meaning Armadillo is in the middle of your maze, Sliske. This is your fault.
I'm sorry.
But, looking on the bright side, I actually have the Agent of the Elders outfit now, and I never would have bothered to go get that if it wasn't for this bug.
I think the really weird thing about that reset is that it put some people in the boss fight and some people right after it. Like, I got put right after.
Yeah, some people were able to skip the fights, and I was not. I had
Really
to actually
weird
gear
thing.
up and do that nonsense.
I didn't have a problem. Like, Armadillo was just sitting on his tower for me, so I just gave him the thing.
It's very variable. It's very janky, weirdly.
We're really not sure how the bug activated, but that's just our understanding of what actually went wrong, and it was real entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that nobody noticed it until you actually had to go visit Armadillo.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, felt very smooth, fairly bug-free. The progression felt relatively nice. I suppose we can talk about really the one core problem I had with the progression, personally, here, if you guys want to do that.
Sure.
And it involves the mysteries. I'm not going to specifically spoil any of the mysteries, but really
It's
the
a
one
good
thing
number of
that's
them.
thrown me off about the skill is that a lot of the mysteries feel like they're not quite presented right. For instance, you'll unlock a mystery, you'll start making some progress, and you'll reach this whole new section. You'll walk in there, and everything inside is too high level for you, and you're told you gotta wait 10 to 40 levels in order to take the next step. It just felt very strange that at the level I'm at, I unlock access to this area, and then I just literally can't do anything inside of it at all.
Yeah.
It also just felt very abbreviated with the story, where like you start making a bit of momentum and where the story's going, and then all of a sudden you're told, hey, so yeah, you did a little bit, and it's time for you to train 20 more mil XP in the skill. Good luck. It definitely felt very weird, and I think it was really my one complaint about pacing, was that I feel like the core mysteries really should have either been first or last in the skill, like either the lower end or the higher end, one or the other, and they should have been spread a little better. And then use those smaller mysteries, like the lore book, as the early stuff or the late stuff.
Or what the skill is good at is it gives you a lot of like trivia about, the Third Age.
Yeah.
But it's not great at these big storylines. It's hard to like keep your focus on them, and
it's hard to keep the focus on a big storyline when you unlock something and then have to wait weeks of training time if you're playing fairly casually just to be able to get to the next. It's the same problem, I would argue, that that Menaphos had.
With Reputation?
Yeah, like spreading out those 4 quests across that massive amount of Reputation really hurt the pacing on top of some already poor content. In this case, I don't think the content is poor. I just think the spacing out really damages some of the momentum and the possible storytelling.
Walter says that it really needs more mysteries, and I have to agree.
So on a flip side to this, would you rather that sites were contained in a 20, 30 level band?
Like I said, I don't necessarily need the sites to be contained in a level band, but I think the core mystery, like the big storytelling moment in each one, should have been.
Like, I'm trying to think of a good...
Let's take the Carried Et one. Carried Et has a big mystery that's spaced from fairly low level all the way up into the early hundreds.
To 107.
Yeah. And it's genuinely interesting. I'm fascinated by it, and I'm excited to see it myself in game. The problem, I do a small piece of it, like I make a key. Ooh, cool, I get to go into here, and I can't do anything in here, and I gotta wait another 20 levels to be able to do anything. Ooh, I've done the next thing. Alright, cool, I've made some progress, this seems really cool, and there's nothing for me to do for another 30, 40 levels.
So, to move over to the example I think a lot of people have brought up is like the good momentum, Infernal Source.
Yes.
How do you feel that way?
Infernal Source was probably my favorite level band in terms of how it unspooled its story, because it did a really good job of kind of, you unlock it, you start making progress, you keep making progress, maybe you leave for a little bit, you go visit Everlight, you do a little bit of content over here, and then the next piece pops up, and it feels like it's coming up at regular intervals, rather than...
And then it finishes... And then it's a training site at that point. It's the scale at that point.
Exactly.
It's not,
and there's still mysteries, not necessarily mysteries to uncover, but there's still content to do. There's new artifacts to uncover. There's even a research that you can't really do until later. And there's an additional relic and story piece of content after you've finished all the mysteries.
Now, what I do wish is that mysteries were more like... like you had these big overarching mysteries and you had these sub-mysteries that made them up. So like you were investigating this one thing and then it contributes some part at the very end of that mystery to the whole greater storyline.
That was the other thing that I missed. It didn't feel like there was a greater storyline.
Like to all the sites in general.
There's like some crossover, but not a ton.
There's very little once you hit 99, but yeah, it's a very loose meta narrative. And then also you start seeing some interplay in lore books between sites here and there, but yeah, it's not like the 5 sites were a cohesive whole. They were 5 stories.
Absolutely. What do you think about that, Sliske? Are you like, having finished the skill, are you kind of in that same boat, or did you find the pacing a little better?
I definitely found the pacing off for certain sites. I think that Caridet was the worst offender, guaranteed.
The fact that it starts first and finishes second to last is kind of a...
I think it's not an issue of having mysteries spaced out. I think the issue is that if you're going to have that much of a difference from bottom to top, you need to have like sub stories. So having a story from level 5 to level 40, which feels like you get a reasonable conclusion to it.
Right.
And then you get a separate story, like it can be linked, but it should still feel satisfactory and something new once you get it. And then that can be another small section.
For instance,
it's almost hilarious how Caridet has two stories going on, but they both finish at level 107.
That was the one I was going to complain about. Was mild spoilers for Caridet, but at one point you unlock a prison area, and you get to pass this barrier and talk to something. And you do all of this. You get in there, you talk to this thing, and then it goes, okay, you can let me out at level 97 or 107 or something. It's insane.
And then
you unlock that at like level 40.
A totally different mystery in Caridet, which has nothing to do with that same thing. Also 107 for some reason. And they're both unlocked
I would have been so happy if that mystery wrapped up at like 60.
70, 80.
50, 60. You finish that, you go talk to Dr. Nabanak, you get a little story piece about it, and then it relates to the other storyline that's bigger and larger.
Yeah, I could see that.
But the fact that you are literally one step off finishing it and told you have to wait 60 levels is insane.
That one should have ended earlier. Yeah,
it felt so frustrating because it's like I finally made this progress, I've made it in there, I know everything that's going on, and the only thing I'm missing is this one stupid relic or artifact.
Yeah, like you just get stops right at the very end, like right at the very finish, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to sit down and grind.
Yeah. It was just that was the thing that frustrated me.
So I know that Infernal Source was like an early level. This site starts and finishes kind of soonish. Good example of like a momentum, but Lime specifically, your level is 89?
89, yes.
So the Stormguard Citadel, it kind of just ranges from level 70 to 95. How do you feel like that progression has gone so far?
Honestly, not that interested in Stormguard. I haven't been back there for a little while. It's because the levels are getting longer and it's getting more difficult.
Sure.
And on top of all that, school is also ramping up, so it's hard to...
As somebody who just unlocked the next piece of Stormguard, this one's actually kind of a funny one for me because it felt like the story got paced out too quickly.
I feel like Stormguard doesn't have much story.
No, it doesn't.
Honestly.
But, you start it off, you get the first item, eventually. You then make the second item and upgrade it. And then it's another one of those things where it's like, all right, you've done everything you need to do. Now you just need this one specific item and wait 20 levels.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same issue with the Forgotten Prisoner.
I feel like Stormguard and Infernal Source at least, since they have like big rewards at the end, they kind of try to get them to stop early, which is, I think, good thing. I think it worked for the Infernal Source because there's a forward momentum there with Stormguard. It just exists. It's got really no plot. The plot's very thin.
I do really like the lore books of Stormguard, though.
Oh, it has some. I think Everlight's one's a little better, but yeah, I think that the Stormguard
Everlight is
very. Go ahead.
Everlight is my favorite site from a graphical and story perspective.
Everlight nails showing off the culture of what's going on there in a way we hadn't seen before of that culture, or at least in any other. I think I learned a lot more about the ice scene than the AVNC from the two sites.
Yeah. Everlight frustrated me because it was another one of those ones where it felt like it was just kind of spinning its wheels until it could start the main mystery.
Sure, you started very early at 42.
Yeah, you start that mystery at 42, but then you don't really do anything with it for a while.
Sure.
Like, you walk up, Venescula is very weirdly flippant the entire time. Like, I actually did not like the way they presented her character.
It doesn't end.
And, then, like, for the first couple mysteries, you don't really find out anything. Like, the first mystery is, it's not a frying pan. What?
I mean, I guess it's more of a case of trivia versus actual story.
Yeah, it just, when you complete one, your adventurer's log says, I solved one of Gillenor's greatest mysteries. That was not one of Gillenor's greatest mysteries. It's a burial arc.
I think it's funny how we've gotten into like nitpicking about negative points of it.
Yeah.
Also how we've started by talking about mechanics of the skill. We just went straight into like lore delivery. Oops. There's other skill parts around it. Yeah, I
let's talk
agree
about
that.
collections. Because
Because you like collections?
Hey,
no, it's because
Avernic, your stream is no longer streaming.
What?
stream's busted.
It is not streaming. It's just black screen right now.
That's a problem.
Yes, it is.
How about now?
I'm just on the page looking. A couple people said it in chat, so
I'm reloading it.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so if I may continue.
Continue while I try to solve the.
Yeah, I've at least got audio going here, so we can just black screen it during the podcast.
Okay. Should I wait or?
They can keep going.
Yeah, you're good. I got you.
Okay. Where was I? Collections, because something that Jagex has historically struggled with was the buildup of resources in the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like collections are their response to this.
And it's so well handled.
Yeah. And I'm on the fence about them because you get a lot of those dead levels, where, you've got this collection sitting around and you can't complete it because you don't have the level requirements for it. Like you've got oodles and oodles of these artifacts laying around. But you can't finish the collection because you are 3 levels shy of this next artifact that you need a ton of in order to catch up. Yeah.
It's pretty much it.
I get that frustration because it feels like you're not getting the most bang for your buck on Chronotes when you just donate to the museum cart. And it also feels like you're missing out on rewards when you do so, but you got a level band that you got to fit within.
I know that Alex, she's taken to like making a journal, like a logbook of how many artifacts we need at each level.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd be interested to see that later.
I'll ask if we can have a picture of it, but she has a different page for each of the sites.
Okay.
She's being very organized about this. But then there's all right, that Walter brings up another note. He says that he's completed Ceradomin 2 20 times.
Well, yeah,
there are
some
collections
piece.
There are some that are just better. You make them and you make them and you make them and you ignore them at the expense of all others. And then there are some that are just a pain because it's a pain to get down to the Black Knight Fortress or
Well, here's an interesting point in my eyes, is I almost see some of the dead space in the levels is Jagex going, all right, go do those collections that you think are important and you want to get done. Because you've got achievements that also help fill in that gap. I'm at 76 right now, and I'm still not an associate because I still need 15 more restored artifacts.
Oh god, yeah. Associate and guildmaster are both wildly off. Professor and assistant are spot on.
Yeah, it's super weird.
I mean, I've gotten all the restorations I need.
I had to grind the discoveries, and now I'm 15 away on Restorer, and I am 6 levels over what it was seemingly supposed to unlock at. I feel like if it unlocked at the Restorer 6, we'd be good, but you don't get enough materials and you don't get enough artifacts to hit it at 70. So if you reduced both of those to the 6 tier instead of the 7, I feel like Associate would unlock right on time, per se.
Sure.
Yeah, I suppose. It's just...
But, like you were saying, though, is some of those dead gaps where you're not really sure what you're supposed to be doing, those really feel like your moments to go, all right, I'm going to go work on Tetracompass pieces, and I'm going to go work on this collection, I'm going to go try and get this relic. And it kind of gives you some, specific downtime in which to do some of the other content. And I like that. I really do.
I mean, this all just comes down to pacing, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's about finding something to do in that downtime.
Where I was a bit let down with the collection logs was the lack of diversity in rewards. It's effectively it ends up becoming tetracompasses or batteries. You don't want to do the pages for the invention because that's worthless and you'll get enough just training. So you end up just having two choices, and effectively what you want is just to go for the easiest one to go for. So the Bandos ones, in the end, end up just being super easy for Tetra Compass, and the Zaros ones are the only ones where you can actually get the batteries. So basically, you just decide, do I want XP, or do I want to get some money and a bit of XP? And then you just go do the relevant site, and it would be quite nice to see some more options and some more maybe overlap between the different sites and potential rewards for doing that. So rather than it just being effectively just do Zaros, just do Ceradome, and just do Zamorak.
I can see.
That is what
that's a
I
very good
was.
point.
That is what I was poorly trying to explain there. Like, there are only a handful of collections that are worth repeating. All the other ones you just do once and then you never see them again, because
There's also
they're
not a lot of there's not a lot of ones that are not god locked. You know, you've got like the Art Critic one, a couple at the Wise Old Man, a couple in Ooglog, and that's about it.
It's cheap test and Wise Old Man, yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for more expanded ones. Like, I was almost disappointed that people like Reldo and Armadil just wanted one specific relic and didn't have their own unique collections of stuff that they wanted.
Yeah, like it would make a lot of sense if, you know, gods wanted to learn about their enemies. So
Absolutely.
maybe Armadil wanted to learn about Bandosian ones because, hey, he's getting a lot of goblins now because he killed the big high ward god. And yeah.
Well, you guys want to move on into rewards?
Yes, because I feel like we're talking a lot about rewards now since we got into collections.
All right. Well, I think the first place I want to start is probably the Chronote-based rewards, the Archaeology Guild Shop. So these are pretty simple. They're a lot of like quality of life stuff for you. There you can buy the boosts, you can buy some teleports. I don't know why you ever would, but you could. But then you've got things like the Madak Precision upgrade. I really, really like these. Not just because they are faster, but like the fact that your tools, like the tools you have, aren't the only thing that matters, because you have additional rewards that make your tools better no matter what tool you're using. I really like that. It's a nice reward space that I don't really feel like has ever been played in before.
I think as someone who ended up buying quite a lot of stuff, though, I found that it effectively just became an extra cost on top of the Matic that I was also buying. So then it ends up just being a slightly more expensive Matic. And that's, for me, it didn't really add much more to the skill. If it was like a currency which was untradeable for the Matic upgrade and stuff, or I had to do something within the skill specifically to unlock it, I think I would have liked it more. But as it was basically, okay, I unlocked the rank, buy.
Yep. And looking at the Guildmaster costs too, it's 400k just to get the Matic upgrade and the thing you need for the Matic of Space and Time. So that's like a wild
Why did you leave out the outfit?
Not to mention the outfit being 250k as well.
The actual price.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting at how some of these are costed, because once again, it's really one of those things where it's like either you got the cash on hand where you go buy it, or you grind out collections in order to get enough chronotes.
I don't feel like I've ever been too far bonus. Like maybe I hit level 70, I didn't unlock associate to like 77, but I had the chronotes at that point. And with Guildmaster, when I hit 99, I had the chronotes by probably level 100. I haven't really bought those.
Yeah, where I'm sitting right now on Chronotes, I'll be able to buy most of Associate just the moment I unlock it.
Yeah.
We'll get there in a minute, Lime. Lime was
cool.
talking about research. We'll get it. I think the research one... Yeah, we'll talk about that in a few. But a lot of these rewards are really just like simple things like, oh, your soil box can hold more. Here's an auto screener. You can hold more materials, and then here's the outfits. And the outfits are really the winners here. I really love that they're continuing to put, elite outfits just into the skill itself.
Right, farming did that as well, right?
Thank goodness. Yeah. And it's like, it feels great. Finally, I'm not worrying about spinning Treasure Hunter in order to get these, and I really appreciate that they do that.
Mm-hmm. It's become more part of the game. It unfortunately leads to lack of diversity in like skilling equipment, but it is what it is at this point.
Now, because we were just talking about Chrononauts, it is actually the right time to segue into research, I think.
Yeah.
We'll go back to rewards.
Because this is where the extra cost comes in, because...
It's a big drain.
Yeah, one of the achievements that you have to do in order to get up to the next rank is a certain number of hours with your player-owned nerds. But to use your player-owned nerds, you need Chrononauts. So already you need all of these Chrononauts just to unlock the next set of rewards. But then you also need some in order to send research, and the special research has a little bit of lore, but also like gives really good experience for its cost, so you really need to send those as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's where probably the trickiest trade-off to me comes in.
Yeah, I feel like I've been just dumping too many Chrononauts into research because of experience and materials that I wanted. I feel like I'm going to stop doing that, but...
Yeah.
You'll probably be fine still. Don't worry too hard about it.
Personally, it's a cost that I don't think should have been Chrononaut involved.
Yeah.
I think that it would have felt... I think it's a cost that really should have been associated with just, like, player-owned ports, where it's not really, like, spending money, you just send it out and wait.
I feel like
I don't know if I agree.
Chrononauts have a second, like, they have that reward shop use.
And you also get...
Go ahead.
You get a ton of materials on it, and that is a lot of money that you can just inject into the game. And I don't know if that should be free, or if you should just get it.
Right, and it feels like because you have the other use pros right now, like the reward shop stuff, that you feel like it should be going towards that. But once you have all that, what are you going to use your credits for? It's either selling or for research.
Yeah.
Yeah, like being 200 mil, I still intend to keep sending out research just because I am actually making a profit still from doing that.
That's
so
awesome.
It makes sense for me to do it.
Okay, that's good to know.
I guess I'm kind of underwhelmed with the lore we get from research because it doesn't actually feel like we learn
never
anything.
Major.
That was the biggest disappointment of the research to me. Is like you find this thing and it's like, ooh, you can't do it now, but your team can help you discover something, and then your team sends you 2 sentences.
And
it's so minor.
Yeah, like it feels like such a letdown in comparison. But the rewards, like the materials you get, those are really useful. Some of the relics that you get sometimes, I mean, that's okay.
Like, I appreciate having the chance to get artifacts there. That's nice.
Yeah, but I wish they did more with it.
I wanted more lore books, basically. Give me lore books. Or, like, maybe even, like, right now, when you do the research, nothing really changes, you know? Like, you research the portal in the Infernal Source, and congrats, you've learned 2 sentences about the portal.
Yeah.
And gotten a single artifact that you can already get from excavating.
I have this weird other problem with research. I don't feel like there's enough stats on the researchers for there to be diversity in them.
Yeah.
There really aren't.
It's either it's cost and speed, and you unlock all these different researchers, but when you unlock them, you're actually unlocking like 2 or 3 of the same exact dispersion of stats, which feels like, well, that's all that you can do with it, really. Like, there's no stat for, there's material gained, but it's just on the Vario. Like, that's not on research. Like, you can't, like, min-max your researchers to get extra materials or less materials for whatever, or more artifacts.
It's like baby's first player-owned ports. Player-owned ports has all the complexity that's needed.
Also just reminds me of, it was a bit confusing going into it, because when you're recruiting those first nerds at the, the archaeology guilds or the dig site recruits, it said that they each had their own specialty. And I was like, okay, some of these people will be good for the Zerosian Empire, and some of these people would be good for...
That'd be amazing way to make them distinct.
Especially since some of them ask for specific relics to even hire them in the first place, or artifacts.
If that mattered, like where you sent them, that'd be awesome. Like, this person has extra speed if they're at these 3 sites, but not these 2, or whatever. Also, it just like I feel like in the first tier, the intern tier, you have you have someone that's no extra cost but no extra speed. One person that's 1% cost and 1% speed, and the rest are 0 cost with 1% speed.
Yeah.
There's some diversity there. Whereas the later tiers, they're all the same, exactly the same. It's not like one is less cost or less speed or anything like that.
I feel like that's one of the things that they as in Jagex, the developers, thought about doing and then didn't.
Right.
Because from my understanding, there were many different iterations that this skill went through before it became a skill.
Yeah.
So that might have been one of the things that fell by the wayside. I guess we just won't know unless somebody tells us.
Right. I mean, maybe at a future point we unlock the ability to get different assistants or associates, definitely consultants, but different spreads of those stats, two stats. Or if, like you said, maybe there's some that are better at certain sites rather than others, and then it actually matters.
As an aside, it kind of makes me feel weird that we're sending a consultant onto like a field thing instead of them being a consulting position.
I mean, again, it's a good reward. Like, you know, when you finish a site, you're going to get this reward of a good benefit on someone in your research team. But
yeah, but it feels like they should have like their own special slot, like the consultant slot, and
where they actually like advise your team instead of just
well, then
being
you
a member.
Can't send all 5 of them out on a as the achievement tells you to do.
Do you think Movario would get along with Venescula?
I was wondering that myself.
Do you really think that would be that would be possible?
I don't know. It's 2 big personalities in one room.
Or Zonic? Do you think any of those people would get along with each other?
Xanax would get along with anyone. Slightest. That's fine. So that's research. I guess we probably covered all of that in a good extent. We go back over to relics
rewards.
And those
rewards. I actually want to talk about how like everything is tradable, like all the materials and all.
Is that in a good way or bad way?
Both.
Okay.
Because Walter and I were talking about it earlier that as soon as all the interest dries up, this is all just going to stop. Like, just stop.
Stop being profitable or stop being not viable?
It'll stop being traded. Like, the economy will just dry up. That's been built around this. So,
well, then the demand for our materials will go up, so people will gather them, though.
Yeah, but then demand's going to go down because nobody's going to be trading them. Nobody's going to be training this skill because everyone's rushed to 120. That's my big fear here.
Well, I mean, we have to consider things like new players, quest requirements. You know, not everybody's rushing this skill to 120 from the get-go.
I mean, like, people are 99 fire making, but that doesn't mean people stop buying Elder Log.
Yep.
I just
and
don't know.
We also have the benefits of things like Ancient Summoning needing actual materials. It's not a ton of them, but it is
can always be used for other things.
Yes, but it seems like a lot of archaeology is done for the sake of archaeology.
Yeah.
Instead of
it's a fairly insular skill.
Oh, yeah.
But there's always those little branches off, right? That end up being like the main money makers. Like divination, you buy the energy to do more divination, but then you have divine charges on the side or something like that.
Yep.
Where you have the binding contracts for archaeology or ancient invention is going to be a big one. Absolutely. That's definitely like the PVM hot topic right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then another really important thing, too, is the fact that restoring artifacts breaks them down into components, and those components are strong.
Incredibly.
I hadn't... Are they?
The Ancient Invention new perks are really good. And you have to break down completed artifacts in order to get those components. And then you can even sell those components. You can
sell just straight up the components, yes.
Yeah.
The invention components.
So, I mean, that alone creates a lot of value because anybody looking to restore will go to a site where the artifact is the cheapest to restore, buy those components that they need, but then, oh, that one's the cheapest, the price starts to go up. It kind of creates a self-balancing circle in that regard.
I mean, I guess we just can't know until it happens.
Yeah, of course. It's hard to predict the economy in this. But I will say, I think things like Invention are going to keep this fairly valuable.
I hadn't considered that, But yeah.
That's one thing, right? And there might be futures, like with Orphan, there might be ancient herblore stuff that ends up being keeping it afloat. And just future updates, right? Like as sites come out, we're going to need some of these materials again.
All right, I'm on board.
We got them there. Woo!
All right, so the next thing I think we need to talk about are the relics themselves.
Relics, sure. There's some really good ones.
And some really bad ones.
Sure. Of course, there's going to be really bad ones. Like, which one's a really bad one?
Font of Life.
That sounds amazing on a skiller. I don't know what you're talking about.
Pouch Protector is pretty awful.
Pouch Protector means you can have. Yes, I mean the cat. You don't.
It's not great.
As Walter says, about half of them are really bad. Like
how
bad
is really bad?
I mean, like you'll never use them ever.
I mean, frankly, the Deathless one is kind of disappointing.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. I'll take the dungeon. No death penalty.
Always adds is really weird. The auto burn logs
for Jadinko training.
Okay, I can get behind that.
That'd be good.
Finger discount isn't great.
Which one is that? The pickpocketing one?
You get to keep pickpocketing, yeah.
That's fantastic.
What are you talking about? That's a selling point on elves. You're not doing elves. You'd rather have that. If you're like Knights of Ardoin, because you're not level 90 thieving.
Or for dwarven traders, actually, that would be.
Oh,
really
sure,
good.
yeah, that's actually better than elves, isn't it?
Walter's saying that the Thieving Master outfit already does that up to 10 times.
Only up to 10, though.
But only 10, though. This is constant.
Permanent. I think all the combat ones will find some use, right? Like the extra adrenaline or the extra gain from basic abilities or stuff like that.
But like some of the really great ones, things like Divine Conversion, oh my god.
Yeah, that's absolutely barrels through.
Conservation of energy is really good. Keeping 10% adrenaline is really good. There's a reason people do ring switch.
Right. Endless run's probably not that useful. I'll give you that.
Yeah, like I thought it would be useful when I saw it at first, but now that I've like thought about it more, when do I ever run out of run energy?
Never.
People are really loving the persistent rage one.
Sure, yeah, no adrenaline loss.
Your adrenaline never loses, even through logout. You log back in and your adrenaline stays.
Even the 2% ability, not the 2% experience gain ones are just like you use this when you're training a skill sometimes.
They're all really niche.
Yep.
Except for a few, which are awesome.
Some of them you keep on all the time, some of them you spend the money to switch to with Chronotes because they're that good when you're doing that thing. Which I think is fine. I think there's a good argument to be made about like 70% of these.
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, a good chunk of these are fairly valuable and well done.
And there's a really cool thing to be said about unlocking them. So I think a lot of these relics have really cool unlock methods.
Yeah.
That are narratively fun. I wouldn't say the collection ones are like that great, but
no.
What's a good early one? I can't think of a good early one at this point.
Let's see. Like the
Hands of Glory. The Hands of Glory, those are pretty cool.
Oh, I do like the Hands of Glory. I like the Rings of Razalay one for Persistent Rage. Like, just it's a further piece of storytelling with one of the characters.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a really cool thing that happens with the ones that you discover in Howl's Workshop. Like, you discover all these invention blueprints for these relics that you can create with Invention, which end up being pretty fun.
Nice.
And they just decided to throw one in the Dungeoneering reward shop. That's just reviving some other content with the relic.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
For the most part, they feel pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say I really enjoyed that relics were one of the few things that actually reached outside of the core skill and interacted with the outside world. It was one of the few things which didn't feel like it was just in its own enclosed bubble and actually made it feel like you were doing something which was impacting the game.
Yeah.
Which was something in general I felt the skill was missing a bit, but relics did that quite well.
I did think it was funny because I remember very early on, Avernic, you got the Lock of Hair one. And you were trying all these different things to figure out.
Oh, the Abyssal Thread.
That's what it. Not the Abyssal Thread one, the Darok one.
Oh no, yeah. Okay, sure.
But I remember you were trying all these things to figure out what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
I was chatting with the Saradomin NPC earlier, and he tells you what to use on it.
Yeah, I figured that one out.
It just cracked me up. I'm like, we spent like 10 minutes just theorizing on what it was, and all we had to do was just chat with this one NPC.
Yeah, I think the same thing with the Abyssal Thread one, which I think that she ends up just telling you it, but I was felt so good for like figuring out it was the giant pouch because I looked at the skill icon, or the icon in the skilling guide.
Yeah, Walter makes a good point about the Amaskut's Enchanted Gem at 119 to help you with Slayer, kind of.
It's helpful.
It's fine.
It's good when you're doing like certain drops or whatever.
Yeah, it makes bad tasks shorter and good tasks longer. So
yes. Today, since I finished, I've been doing a bunch of Slayer and just trying to grind out some invention components and be able to make it so I get 300 Abyssal Demons, and then extending that to 360 just to AFK it is very, very nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fairly helpful, and it goes along really well with that one invention perk that already lets you occasionally extend your tasks.
Mm-hmm. And it feels a lot like ideal reward space. Like relics can be whatever you want them to be for a reward.
That's the surprise to me, is the fact that they decided to stat that one at 119 when it's the kind of thing that's actually very helpful for like the 99 to 120 grind for Slayer.
I think they didn't want to be used for training, or they wanted to be used for like those specific things you want to be on task for, like that drop, or then just grind through the ones that are.
I mean, I plan on using it for the Devourer title grind to get more Ripper Demons.
Yeah, exactly. You want those extra drop chances when you're on task and stuff like that. So stuff like that for post training.
Exactly. On a side note, I've had a Ripper Demon task for like 3 months that I haven't done. Really should get around to that sometime.
You should if you want that.
I do.
Relics feel like they can plug whatever they want into that system and they'll feel awesome. So I think that's unlike like sigils where it had to be an ability, or it had to be like that short time span equipment slot where it was very niche and you had to like figure out what effect you wanted there that fit in there, where the relics can be whatever the hell is happening. And we'll probably get those off.
Yeah, every single one of these feel, for the most part, like they have a use at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really like having the reputation one unlock really early.
Yeah.
That was great, and it's actually genuinely helpful for various parts of the game where you have reputation grinds that, might take quite a bit of time.
Weird reputation grinds where it's specifically those four, and no other reputation. So that gets updated in the future. So that feels like that's most of the rewards, right? It was
the other things are just the two ancient summoning and ancient.
Summoning and invention. Those are big ones. Ancient summoning is just
before we go on. Walter says that, and I agree that we should hope that they continue to add to it. Yeah. So let's talk about invention and summoning.
Summoning, I guess, first, because the first we unlock.
Yep.
It's more summoning. It's a small variation on summoning where you make the contract beforehand and then go collect the monster, which is a nice little, I think, flavor touch. I don't know if it had to be that way I don't think it had to be that way for a specific reason, but it definitely helps to funnel some archaeology materials out of the game. But ancient summoning introduces, I think it's 8 to 10 new familiars into the game.
It's somewhere along those lines.
It incorporates Slayer, incorporates summoning, and they're all demons. And water fiends are really good for archaeology, turns out. And that's kind of keeping the market going. Your Ripper Demons are really good as combat familiars, and they're just more summoning familiars unlocked and obtained in a different way.
Yeah, it'd been a while since we gotten new ones. How long had it been?
Probably since the lesser demons from Demon Flash Mob.
Yeah.
That's probably 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, so
at least.
Dang.
Or maybe Hackman, that was also 3-4 years ago. One of those. And pigs. We also got pigs.
And the yak.
Yeah. I think they're they're an interesting new way to obtain the summoning thing, but it's the same summoning stuff once you have it, right? It's not like it's some new familiar combat thing that didn't exist before. It's just more of the same reward with a different way of getting it.
I mean, I guess
the reward is better, obviously.
It's fine.
It's more evolved.
I mean, the familiars, they don't need any unique gimmicks or anything associated with them, in my opinion. It's still summoning. It's just there's a unique creation method.
Right, and then because of that, they're overall better than usual familiars because they're more involved to obtain.
Yeah. I suppose like maybe there could have been some gimmick associated with them, like they drain prayer, but that would have been silly.
No, I don't think that'd be silly at all. We need the demons.
I mean, yeah. But we've got you here, and that hasn't stopped us.
I think you've all felt the drain.
It's been a drain on my energy, not a drain on my belief.
Oh, okay. So we should drain our energy. Got it.
Yeah. All right. But no, like I don't think that they need gimmicks to be supported. It's good as just a unique creation method, in my opinion, at least.
I think wasn't there meant to be the one gimmick, which is that you get most of the summoning experience from actually using them.
Do you actually get the most?
Creating the pouch. I've not actually tested it. I just remember it being mentioned in one of the streams leading up to it.
I agree. I remember hearing that. I just haven't I used water fiends for a couple levels, and I can't say I saw myself getting some of the experience.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just the combat ones, or if it's just something that didn't end up happening in the final version.
Very possible. I mean, I feel like you got a good amount of experience for making the contract. So, and maybe you also got experience collecting the monster. But I don't know if you got experience from actually while it's summoned.
It'd be cool, but I don't think it necessarily needs it. That's my belief, at least. It doesn't need more gimmicks to prop it up.
At least we know that when we get future Slayer demon monsters, that they'll probably get added to the system at least, or they have the opportunity to, because it seems like the perfect place to put them. So there's that.
We should also talk about weapons and ancient.
After invention, yes. So for invention.
Real quick though, can we talk about how truly awful the Blood Reaver is?
What does it do?
It deals damage when you heal.
Except
nice.
it injures itself in the process with its scroll.
Oh, nice.
Oh, so it dies really fast.
It's the suicidal demon.
I mean, so is the Hellhound, I guess. At least the Hellhound gives you damage reduction.
Exactly.
And the Hellhound early.
Also, its scroll feeds into keeping it alive. You create the Hellhound, 10% of damage dealt to you goes to the Hellhound, and then you use its scrolls to heal it.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the Blood Reaver is that it deals some of the damage you heal, but then it can never heal itself.
Spiritualized food. So you feed the familiar instead of yourself.
I wish.
Yeah, it seems pretty bad.
Yeah,
there's enough good ones where we can forget the Blood Reaver.
It's a cool idea because, like, if it just dealt damage equal to your healing, you could turn on Soul Split, have it sit there and go nuts.
I think it already does Soul Split damage.
I think it does.
Mm-hmm.
But its scroll is just useless.
That's a shame. So Invention now?
Yeah, let's go on to Invention now.
So Invention. Dan, did they cut like all the devices?
Yes.
It's just gizmos and tools and that
we were gonna get those boots, remember?
Yeah, and I thought other things. But it really the list got limited down.
Because we ended up with
wasn't there?
The gizmo, the enhanced Rotomatic, Pyromatic, and Hammer.
I think they saved themselves with the gizmo because the gizmo is so integral and the perks are so good that you want the gizmo. So but I think it makes like everything else feel like secondary to the gizmo.
Yeah.
Like the tools aren't really that worth it, and the XP capacitor is so it's like you want to buy your way through leveling a weapon that it's like not like a reward people are actually getting.
It's genuinely fantastic. Like it's broken good.
Which one?
The ancient gizmos.
The gizmo, yeah.
There's
I
almost
thought
no point in making regular gizmos until you've unlocked ancients.
Oh, sure. Other than it's at level 90 something or high invention. It's a high invention. Granted, you can buy the blueprint for probably pretty cheap. So I don't think it's actually worth that much. But I think the gizmo is like level 85 invention or something like that. 85.
Yeah.
So you have to wait till that point. But at that point, why would you use it?
But the new perks are also really good.
Yeah, and you can only get those on those gizmos.
Yep. Fortune is really nice because, even the small chance, it's still banking. Banking or doubling.
For doubling your gathered resources, yeah.
Relentless is really, really good.
Which one does that do again?
1% chance per rank to prevent adrenaline from being consumed when using an ability that requires adrenaline. It does increase on level 20 items.
Yeah, the new perks are good.
A 5.5% chance to get
a new rank.
Completely free ultimate is wild.
Yeah. But other than that, I feel like Ancient Invention, that's it to Ancient Invention. There's not much else to it. There's the space to add things to it, but...
Yeah, the only other one is the Ruthless. That's the one that, the damage boost, which is really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, those are the 3 perks. They're all really good. Good job. And then the XP capacitor exists.
It exists. The tools exist.
Yep. Tools are there. There's only one new perk in that regard, but just the sheer variability you get from being able to get all these new types of perk combinations is massive.
So for these 2 rewards, how do you guys feel about them not being archaeology locked?
I think it's weird.
Feels really weird. It's a reward of the skill, but it's not a reward of the skill. You can get it whenever.
Yep.
But I feel like
the invention half is kind of because you can't get the gizmo without it.
Yes, you can. You can buy the blueprint.
That's
on the G. Tradable.
I didn't catch that.
You can buy the pouches for summoning on G.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I feel like you need the archaeology. You should have needed the archaeology level in order to do it.
Yeah.
Just creating demand for it, I guess. It's all just trying to get skillers a way to make money.
It's taken all these unique rewards, like these familiars and these gizmos, and just made them into money-making methods instead of their own unique rewards. The unique reward is just buyable, so all these rewards are ways to make money to sell to other people.
Yep.
Yeah, but skillers have been getting shafted for years.
But although recently a trend is that skilling has been making a lot of money.
Yeah. But then, speaking of making lots of money, let's talk about the weapons.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. 2 new weapons, nearly best in slot or niche best in slot magic and melee.
And then a T90 and T92 spear. That is the legendary spear of annihilation that Bandos used to kill Jidodu Otaku.
Allegedly.
Oh, is that the lore? I hadn't read that. Oh shit!
It is allegedly the spear.
And then the staff, which belonged to an inquisitor.
I didn't expect that.
Wow, Lord. The inquisitor staff. So these are worth a lot of money. How do you feel about best in slot weapons coming from skilling?
Here's 50 mil, 45 mil.
They seem almost easy to obtain until you realize the drop rate is so low.
Yeah.
I'm on board with skillers getting some method of money because, of course, I am. Anyone who has ever met me or listened to me on a podcast before here, anyone who has read that book that I wrote at the bottom of the Menopause library will know.
Yeah, these are cool. I'm glad they exist. I'm glad you can upgrade the spear to 92. Court Beast is now easy. As if he wasn't already.
Why is Court Beast ever an argument in these spirit discussions?
I don't know, it just cracks me up.
Who does Court Beast?
But yeah, those are the new weapons. They're cool. The staff is amazing for doubles and stuff.
So how many of these did you make?
For the staff, I think I made 3, and then probably about 7 of the spear before it got nerfed. So it's a nice bit of money.
Oh yeah, the spear has that like increases your bleeds effect, right?
Yeah, that's why it's niche best in slot. This doesn't have a special attack of the Zara's Spray, which is really good.
Yep. All right.
Yeah,
you
that's
guys ready
a
for
lot of
lore?
weapons. Oh god, yeah. Spoiler tag.
All right.
All right, guys. So if you were
were
trying to avoid archaeology lore spoilers, now would be the time to stop. With that in mind, we're going to talk about it now. So should we just go in order of like the dig sites in terms of when you unlock?
So Caradat, right?
Yeah.
let's talk about Caradat.
Why would you return a character at level 107 archaeology?
Because we're in the 6th age and they can just say, well, you've seen her, it's fine.
There's no reasonable point where you expect a player to go through the game and get 107 archaeology before whatever next quest you put out, which is going to be at level 60, whatever, something.
I guarantee the next quest will spoil that if Trindine shows up.
Yes, it will.
Why? And
Because
not even
we're in the
that,
6th age and everything that happens has happened for everyone.
but she has plot points attached to her, like as Anatra mentioning that he needs to figure out a way to give her unlimited power because she wasn't there for the mob ritual.
Yeah.
Why?
Which is a big piece of story, mind you.
This is just the point where you're like, why didn't you finish Caradat at like 60 or 70 archaeology so a player could reasonably see this?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I guess
It's such a huge story moment, though.
It's a major important thing, so you want to make it like a big level unlock thing.
Yeah.
But you also want a lot of people to see.
And Caradat kind of has those two concurrent storylines going on, and neither of them really end.
Correct, right? The Trindine thing.
Trindine shows up, Azanadra needs to have a conversation with her, and it kind of cuts off there. And then for the prisoner, you rescue the demon, and then you just kind of
he's in my bank right now, yeah. So you rescue a demon who was, I later discovered in a lore book, he basically yelled Viva la Revolution when he died, and then he got tapped into the ground by a bunch of soldiers and put in prison for life.
For more than life. It's just like indefinite
containment.
Until you finally save him. Dear God, those are unlocked so late that what are you even going to do with them at this point? Like, you can't do anything like so major that you like expect the player to. Like, especially the demon ones, you can't expect them to have the item of his soul. You can't use them much going on. In Trindine, they're going to use her way before.
Do either of them even result in a relic?
No.
No. You get the guy's soul, but if he's just sitting in my bag.
Oh my god, imagine if you fed that guy to the monolith as a relic. That would just be, oh my god.
So other than those things...
I mean, speaking of story, another big frustration of mine is all the pre-teaser stuff led me to believe that the monolith was going to be very integral to all of this, and Zeros was involved. And then he never really turns up again.
I felt like Caradat would be the site that like drove the story forward the most, and it kind of did, but at level 106, and not in any way we expected. So
the story's great, though. Don't get me wrong. Like, Caradat has a spectacular story when it all comes together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what exactly is the monolith? I haven't gotten there yet.
Who knows?
Well, we've discovered from concept art that they based a lot of its design off of the symbols of Wen.
Yes, we discovered that. Not just
Wen, it was all the Elder Gods, I thought.
No,
really?
It had all the palette on the side, but they picked out Wen.
Oh, yeah. It is just Wen.
Okay. And it's got that four-sided symbol on the side, which people were confusing for a Saren symbol at RuneFest, but they kind of tried to make it not look like a Saren symbol afterwards in a read. But 4 sides would be Wen as well.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's definitely supposed to in some way tie into what the Elder God Wars dungeon is going to be, because even all the marketing was just like, ooh, war is coming.
Hey, Link, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd speculate that it's probably the Codex.
Yeah, I think that's
my thought.
Going around a lot. I agree. It's probably the Codex. And I think one of the concept arts actually said, make it inconspicuous enough in its unpowered state that people wouldn't have tried to uncover.
I don't know, honestly.
I get that, because, like, it does just look like some pillars until it starts floating.
Right. And I think they want to incorporate the codex as like they want to bring more Elder artifacts in, just as this is big and important. But Lime, you have some reservations?
I do. It doesn't seem right. I can't put my finger on it, but it's why would Zeros raise it then?
Because he's trying to figure out how to become an Elder God?
I suppose another point is that it's in terms of location. I thought we thought the Codex was not on Gielinor. Because I think we're all pretty sure the hammer's on Abina.
Yes, we figured that one. We don't know where the template is. I don't think we had an idea where the template or codex is.
Yeah, we don't know the template or the codex. I just thought that we were aware of all Elder artifacts that were known on Gielinor.
And it just seems like it's too much of a coincidence. Like it just happened to be in the middle of Sentistan, right where Sentistan is.
I mean, this felt like the opportunity for what the City of Sentistan quest was going to be.
I feel like that would be what City of Sentistan quest would have built on. But I think there's a strong chance that it's the Codex.
I actually kind of like the idea that it might be the template. Because, the whole City of Sentistan quest was talking about the city. What if it's the template and we can copy-paste Sentistan back?
So I think the idea with the Codex is that its function is literally to collect these bits of knowledge, and then you go and tap back into them, so that would be why it's the Codex. Sure, if it was you doing template, like you could say, like this great city kept getting rebuilt here, that might be a template, argument for the template, but I think the mechanic of it in the skill leans it towards the Codex.
Yeah, it feels more like a collection of knowledge. Yeah.
So that was kind of a sidetrack over to the monolith. Do we want to continue with Caridet or kind of talk about those general mysteries some more?
We can talk about Caridet some more, I suppose.
So Demise is generally referenced there, I guess, as having run off with the shadow gem because it looked shadowy and he felt shadowy.
Also, we learn his first name and discover he's the character in the Old Blood. Possibly.
Yeah, Titus.
Rowley's response to me when I asked about it on the Discord was it could be a common name. So it's not like confirmation that he's the dude in the Old Blood, but it makes sense.
What would you imagine being the kind of timetable for that then? Because at what point does he still have the Shadow Gem and also goes back to Azanandra and then also has the confrontation with Draken?
So the whole Draken confrontation was actually quite a while after Caridet occurred. We did know that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Caridet's like right after Zamorak betrays, right?
Yeah. Following the lore journals like day by day.
And Old Blood is like several years after by like a significant amount.
Mm-hmm.
So the timeline really doesn't hurt that bad.
I'm more interested in the creation of the shadow or smoke diamond, right? Not smoke.
Yeah,
it came from Majrat's head.
Yeah.
And
they got the idea from the Heart of Tumekin.
Right. Yeah, so you must assume that then the other 3 diamonds in Desert Treasure must have been the same way, just not as elaborated in this content.
Likely just taken from Majorats that were killed at rituals.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty metal, but...
Yeah. But it's also it's actually not that metal if you think about it, because during Children of Ma, we see that they use the gems as like a burial stone, so like they would have been taken anyway.
Right. They end up just getting used. Also for Karen, I think probably the most important thing, so Trinity, obvious important, Trog may be important, but I think a really big, maybe even part of the meta skill of archaeology would be the Cult of Orcus.
Yes.
Which is the character Orcus being a demon I never really thought of in any capacity before this, and now I'm thinking maybe he's got a huge part to play in the current story because Sliske, he tutored Sliske, and it seems like they have a lot lot of similarity in skill set with followers of Zautak.
Oh my god, if they just lump this guy in with Zautak, I'd be so upset.
They both do heavy necromancy.
I would be so upset. Because it feels like Zautak has just become like this cop-out. Yeah, catch-out, cop-out mess.
On the other hand, in the aftermath of the Shadow Reef, they basically said that's the last we'll be seeing of Zautak for a good while.
Really?
For a while. But it also sounds like from just Discord conversations that they have plans for Zautak.
I do like the theory that Soran is involved, or is Orcus.
It's okay.
It's definitely interesting. He knows more than he should.
It looks like the stained glass window. I'll give you that. He looks like the stained glass window.
Yep.
But I think that the Orcus stuff will definitely come to play sooner rather than later, especially because of the writings in the Wall Mystery. Referencing that the remnants of the Zerosian Empire outlasting itself through the Third Age and becoming entwined with us. And it feels like the Cult of Orcus would be those remnants, because, especially from like some of the journals from Caradat mention it, but all that was left at the end of in Caradat was Trindine and the cult, who had a plan. They were just going to keep reviving dead bodies to fight off everything that came at them.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
I feel like they were the last thing there.
It's another piece that feels like setup for City of Sentistan.
Which isn't coming.
Which might be coming.
From
our understanding, it's been redesigned.
Yes, sure. The plot points have been put other places in certain ways, different ways. But yes, go on.
All right. Anything else to talk about for Caradat?
I think we hit all the points.
Yep. All right. So that means we move on to Infernal Source.
Infernal Source.
I love the story on this one. It's really good.
Yeah, I never thought that like an infernal demon would just be chill.
It turns out when you go up enough layers from all the Avernic fighting, you just get the people who are like kind of done with the shit.
Yeah.
Then you got like Calgara the Warmonger, and it's just like, oh, evil.
I just love the fact that they do all of this setup of like, ooh, there's this whole cult, Dagon, ooh, the Dagon High, like we've got all of these ties. And you expect him to be like super evil, he's locked in there, you're getting flashbacks to Yekligor. And then you walk down there, he's like, hey dude, can you help me out? Like,
I go home. I just want to go home.
I'm done.
I was done with this thousands of years ago.
They trapped me and I just want to leave. And your character's like, how can I trust a demon? He's like, dude, I just want to go home. Just let me go home.
I feel like the site was leading up to more than just like, well, this is how Zamorak got the furnace after going to start the Avernic Revolution. Like that's they were just the setup to the punchline of the God Wars.
Yeah, I mean, my big complaint about this site is just the fact that it didn't feel like there was any info that we learned that we didn't really know before.
I mean, we saw Lornab, which is good enough for me.
I mean, I'm super pleased to see it, and it's basically confirmation that that's Tolna at this point. Like, we already had confirmation, but it's just even more confirmation.
It should have involved Tolna in this, actually.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
But I'm glad that Lornab got like it's his full due in the game after all these years.
I'm very pleased by that.
We did it, guys. We did it.
And he keeps getting his due later on in Everlight, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to see him. Dagon's a neat dude. The lodge and the cult basement they were fine. They're very basic areas, and the lore books aren't like the most interesting.
Wait, did you use the demon phylactery on Dagon?
I did. Actually, I've got a small tidbit from this, which is from what Rowley said. His intention was that you could bring the demon soul phylactery to him, and then by doing that, you'd actually unlocked additional summoning contracts, so you could actually do Catholians and have those as ancient summoning, but unfortunately didn't have time, so that's why currently it's
that would have been a neat second.
Oh, that's great. I hope they find time to do that later then.
Could be neat.
Would it be like that's one of the things you could do with the phylactery, and like, because that'd be really weird, and it might be really cool.
I just like that because it's actual cross-site stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would be all for that. I hope they do that.
Yeah. What I can see is that maybe you can. There are some other places where you could get a few of these demon phylacteries.
Mm-hmm. As a Corax.
Yeah, something like that. But you could give this to any number of demons, any number of persons in order to get these rewards to unlock these levels of content. So some people could go off and use their first phylactery for another layer of ancient summoning. Other people could give it to Venescula and get something else.
Well, there's only one trapped demon
that we know of.
Ooh, dun dun dun.
I really like how going back to Carrot Up really fast. They used to use these demon phylacteries as ranged weapons to throw them into a mob of enemies, and the demon would possess one of them and then start killing the other one.
Yeah,
it would be a nice range weapon to have now. But yeah, I think these things have a good reward potential as well.
Hey, Avernic, I found this phylactery. Can you come over here for a second?
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Just come right over here, buddy.
Actually, really quickly, Zoink, you were the first one to finish Dagon by, and I think Contract Clause as well. How did that go with having no guide?
Yeah, I had a bit of a guide in the sense that I think before the release, they'd said which quests you should probably have done before the release of Archaeology. So, for example, one of those was Land of the Goblins. So, me looking at that, I'm like, okay, what is specifically a reward for that versus a reward for, say, the Chosen Commander? Which then meant, I was like, okay, Goblin Potions. I'm going to go make a couple. Same for the Bacon quest. I can't remember the name. I'm like, okay, give you bacon pies, get the familiar out, have it all just ready. So it just meant that once it came to it and it's talking about goblins, instantly I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go try out this potion. And yeah, lo and behold, it actually worked. But it was definitely very exciting trying to do it with no guide and knowing that no one else had done it. I think that's definitely something I really enjoyed with the skill was the idea that you were able to try and push the frontier, which is really nice.
I was really proud of myself because I did do it guideless, but it was tough.
That must have been really helpful knowing that list for knowing which fake beard to use, because I know there were two and I used the wrong one first.
The one that threw me off was actually the Harlequin cow. If I hadn't seen people freaking out about it, I wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah.
I was so upset at that.
Conveniently, I had one in my Stormbar.
Yeah.
And then Alex went and got me one, so that was nice.
Wow, lucky you.
So kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my story. It was just a pain.
Yes, Inferno Source is kind of short and sweet, which was still fine for what it was. Kind of filler lore books up top, I think, but once you get down to the actual source area, it's very interesting and very good momentum going on.
And honestly,
and stuff like that.
Honestly, I was pretty interested in just the cult. It's nice to get some human stories from time to time.
But I mean, the lore book was the guy being annoyed that he was stuck with the demon there doing kind of nothing.
But it also did a really good job of teasing what was coming next without gating it too far behind.
Sure.
Right, Everlight.
Everlight feels like the most aimless site.
It is the most world-buildy trivia-y.
It's the most site. Yes, trivia is a good way to put it. Cultural. It definitely nails, we learned so much about Icy, and it's not funny.
It's awesome.
But your goal is to go put out this light, which you eventually manage to get up there, but you don't put it out, and then Vanessa's like, oh, well, maybe put some shade.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
The premise was kind of weird because she could just sleep somewhere else.
But it's Venescula, why would she?
And then there was the whole thing she could just ask a Ferrite about a lot of these things. What exactly is it called so it's not a frying pan?
Yeah.
Or it just felt a little bit weird.
That fairy never showed up.
Yeah, just
I feel like she should have. If you're going down the route of quest requirements don't matter, do the most interesting and
honestly, it felt a lot
obvious
like
thing.
She should be the site manager.
Yeah, I mean, I would
agree.
The Faraday being the site manager.
A co-site manager with Venescula.
Like I mentioned earlier, Venescula just felt too snarky and flippant the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like she was kind of undermining the discoveries we were making.
it would have been cool to see
Sure.
both Aferite and Venescula like as
Yeah.
co-dig managers.
They could have had it back and forth.
Give us like kind of an odd couple back and forth.
Yeah, and like they could have just called her Frying Pan, and then Aferite has some clunky ass weird Greek name for it, and Venescula just goes Frying Pan.
Yep, and then it sticks.
I feel like a symptom of this being a very cultural and it's very damn the Icene site is we don't really learn much about like Draken sacking it at all. It's barely brought up, which would have been Venescula's biggest tie to the site.
Especially since she's the site manager. She really should have been giving us that info. I was really frustrated with how many of the mysteries were, okay, I read the book, I go tell Venescula about it, and she says, great, we found the mystery, here's some XP. No commentary,
it was overwhelming at this site compared to other sites.
Now, I was interested that it appears that the Icenes retreated east after, or Hebe, I guess his name?
Yeah, Hebe,
No.
Heb.
Hebe.
Not him.
Hebe.
Not her. I'm talking about the guy.
Babel.
Oh, yeah.
I said east, but I also said like around on the water because that was the only logical strategic way to get the Ceredominus on the other side of Draken's Assault would be get them around the water.
And do note, one of those lore books does note that the vampires don't seem to be able to go over the water.
That's like some really old vampire lore, like in real life, that vampires can't cross moving water.
Yeah.
Or like
so they note
water.
it. So, I mean, the movement makes sense.
Yeah, I know Jack was talking about a long time about like it doesn't make sense that hell they'll get sacked and the Ceredominus take over the rest of the world because where would they have gone? They were pinched. So they definitely make a point of saying, well, they had Siren allies. They definitely have that.
Yeah.
So they are there still Icenes out east in the Eastern Lands?
I mean, possible. They could have always gone further east, but
is that
like mostly they just moved them around to Seranthium.
They've
Is
turned
that
into
like
flying
Sky
jellyfish.
Orphans?
That's the answer.
I mean, like Sky Orphans could be a legit.
Yeah, I mean, if you have sirens for sea orphans, you have Sky Orphans would be Icene.
That's actually fantastic. I like that.
No, but also I made the joke that we were so close to the Avian Seas.
Oh yes, I was going to make the same gag.
Yeah. we nearly had it there.
If you combine the two,
one of our best player-written quests ever is the Avian Seas.
Yeah, it was nice to see the siren stuff though. Overall, Everlight was very good. Like you learn so much about like their heroes, their sports, their marriage rituals and stuff like that, and about Hollow as well. Their fear of the dark.
It's a political ritual that Aferite was supposed to marry the Archon Babel.
But she said, "Fuck you! I'm going to marry this dude that becomes Baron."
Yeah.
I'll marry this human babe instead. Go away.
That didn't end up well. But
it did not work out to plan.
This is something that I have noted now, that it seems that during the God Wars, Ceredomin was the most diplomatic, like the most strategic out of anyone there.
Yeah.
Because he set up this, it didn't seem to be like an empire. It seemed to be more like an alliance that he coordinated. Because you've got the Sirens, you've got the Icenes, you've got the humans, you've got Centaurs. And then you've also got that he apparently made alliances with Armadillo, with Bandos, with the Menophyte Pantheon, which is something else entirely.
I will point out, we did know all of that, but this is just a lot more in-depth exploration of that.
And not only all that, but they had time to just do their own thing and culture out, like not just war all the time. They just did their thing and they built up a society.
Yeah.
He got that going, and then he built up a force with that. Whereas like Bandos was just going straight on, like let's make a war force. Crusader was like just chilling over here. Let's make society, and then we'll get these soldiers out of it, and we'll have these alliances, and it's going to be awesome. He had a whole picture going on.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Overall,
and it wasn't like he was all domination all the time. Like he set up an alliance. He didn't set up an empire.
Right. And like those games were like a part of that alliance. For like
especially as we learn in Stormguard. I would say that Stormguard is really the one that kind of works as the connecting tissue between all the other sites.
Ties a lot together. So before we move, I'm going to start real fast. I was going to say, the Everlight ends really weird, and I don't know if it feels like the least resolution of the ball.
End anywhere. Yeah, it's just like you dip the cup in the light, and that's it.
And it's like this relic is supposed to be a reward.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Personally, I was really expecting it to end in a point where like you turn out the light and there's consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I think other sites like Caradet had consequences. Like you have Trinity showing up. Like there's stuff going on there finishing it. Whereas this one, okay.
Oh my god, they missed an opportunity for a mystery that they could have just called Lights Out.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
That's so sad.
So we're going to Stormguard now?
Yeah.
I think with Stormguard, they had a solid idea for the point of the site, but they didn't have a plot.
Yeah, I
they
agree.
just kind of have Howl, and that's it.
No, I think the point of the site was we're going to explain how the God Sword was made, and it's going to be awesome. They build up to that, but there's no plot behind it.
No.
At all. It's like, okay,
Just, all right,
how the
we
God
got some
Sword was made.
Ethereum,
Sure.
we made it into a sword, and done.
Yeah, that happened. Here's a workshop. There's some
it
stuff
feels-
in it.
Here's a reference to Hal's Moving Castle and Rally's D&D campaign. Done.
It really just feels weird that Ethereum alloy is made of like all the other alloys of all the other gods. It just feels weird.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it was, though.
But it does encourage that cooperation. And then we have the Spy Who Loved Metal stories, where it's like building about, the spy, checking out all these other things. We learn about how the Dorgeshin came to be.
And granted, while the how he made the God Sword plot is thin, it's definitely not the greatest idea behind how are we going to make this site the coolest. You're going to fly.
It's also
awesome.
my favorite environment.
It is. The flight is
Amazing.
Yeah. And all the rings and the arms. And it's pretty damn cool.
Super cool. I just wish there was
got
some
no
more
plot.
story involving like the golems and maybe even talking about Avena. Kind of set up a little bit for that.
It's also
just
go ahead.
it's just a missed opportunity. A lot of Stormguard is.
It's also got the weirdest progression. You do it all at level 76, right? Like you get the wingsuit, you upgrade it to get past all the barriers really fast.
Yeah, and then you have to wait until you can get the pass to be able to go into Hell's Workshop.
Sure, the workshop. But like you figure out like every traversal thing at level 76. There's no like learning curve there, like quote unquote learning curve to be your character.
I flew around, I found the lightning rods, I found the other thingies, and I have a wingsuit V3.
Also feels like I think what Walter's kind of pointing this out, like Geeka has like she's like the weakest site manager, right? Like she has no tie to what's going on here. She's just an ADNC.
She was the engineer of, she should be interested in all these golems.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go back to Mavario, same thing. Like Mavario and Geeka both have very weak ties to their sites, whereas Esquilaz and Adra and Zanuck have very strong ties to theirs.
Yeah. I was actually really surprised at how little Movario did at the site, considering he's Movario.
Mm-hmm. He was just looking for a powerful thing, it turns out.
They did a lot of these site managers dirty, in my opinion.
You could have done a little stronger, I agree. Like you could have had...
I felt like Esquilaz's character wasn't quite done justice.
Actually, you know who the perfect site manager for Infernal Source was? It was Gideon Bede.
Hey.
Yes, that's true. That is 100% true. I don't care that you were the one who said it, but it is true.
Thank you. You're not going to spite me in this one. He was also right there in Barak, like a couple spaces away.
I agree with you completely. I think that would have been great.
But it's just like a lot of these site managers, and this is getting off on another tangent, but a lot of these site managers, Dr. Nobinik, that makes sense. Like they did well with that one. But it feels like that was the only one they did well with. Zanuck, let her die already. Like
I agree there. I mean, they made the loosest ties, like they explained why she was the chosen commander, but I feel like you could have also done that story with Zarador and him being jealous that she was chosen.
I mean, and she's already back to life being like a whole death emissary thing because of Desperate Times.
But please stop beating that dead horse.
Yeah.
That dead goblin.
That
they
poor
could have
dead
sent
Dorgeshin.
They could have sent Grubfoot. Didn't he go on this whole spree of wanting to look back into goblin history or something?
Yeah, I think he could have figured out why she was the chosen. Anyone could have figured out why she was the chosen commander, and granted, she was there to figure it out, but she also didn't do much with it other than open a door.
Yeah.
So.
And what else was I going? I was going on.
Vascular?
Yeah, Movario. That was rough for him. Like it didn't feel like he was doing anything. He didn't really seem to have a tie.
Get someone like to relate to demons there, right? Like a demon or demon themselves or something like that.
And Venescula again.
Dude, get Senectianus involved in there. He's not too far off.
He just wants to go home. That's
Just
all
have a giant gibbering mass sitting there as well. That'd be lit.
No, the little girl.
Do you want to see this phylactery, Senectianus?
Oh no. Yeah, Geekos feels like really just like she would. I feel like Geekos a consequence of they have like 5 ADNC to pick from. Granted, they put like the rest of them in Stormguard, right? Like they have Takara there and they have Famine there.
Yeah,
they could have done like an actual Icovian. Like they still exist.
Sure.
It feels like they did nothing with Icov there.
They did,
we're just gonna put it here.
Lip service, right?
We got a little bit of lore about it, but not much.
He decided to exile himself, and he joined the Armadillo people because they had honor. That was it.
So Warforge.
I guess we're in Warforge now. Yeah. So how was it being there for about 2 hours?
I've been mostly at Stormguard.
Yeah. Fair.
Because the access in Warforge is very limited.
I mean, I find it great.
It's a pretty cool place, I think.
I like it. I like how it looks. I just can't get any further than the first room with the
for me to realize. It took to Warforge for me to realize the color schemes that were really going on with these sites.
Yeah.
Like the purple and Caradet and the red and Burnosaurus and the blue and Everlight, it kind of blended in the background. Warforge, like, this water's green.
It's green. It's all green.
Everything's green. Interesting site. I feel like the only reason there was an Incando there was to justify the Incandomatic.
I think so too.
That is true. But it was cool to see Warforged bronze be like a cool thing.
Sure, bronze is
and
cool.
I guess it makes sense, but it just seems like the only reason was.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I think it ties back to the thing I've been thinking about the Warforged that has with its main mystery. Like it splits so hard between you should care about Thalmon's Forge or you should care about Xanax Ancestry at the end, and where they're kind of two different main mysteries. Whereas the other one's like, the Everlight is to go into the Everlight is pretty much the Vault of Shadows. Even though you have Trog as a side mystery, the Vault of Shadows feels like the main one. But with Warforged, you're like kind of split between the Incandos, the main discovery, which is actually the cutscene, but the thing that gets like the in-game cutscene and you have to do most of the stuff for is figuring out how to get Xanax Ancestor was the first chosen commander.
Yeah.
Which makes the Incando stuff feel a lot more thrown in because that actually feels like the main mystery. So I don't know. It's got this weird thing where it splits. And in a way where it wasn't like built off of old stuff. It just, the goblins needed armor somehow.
I mean, I like that there are more than one. There's more than one story associated with.
Sure.
It's like a lot of things happened at these places. They are historic sites. Yeah.
I agree, but also doesn't feel like it fits in line with the other sites, right? Because the other sites do have like the main story going on.
That's true.
This is the first one that didn't really have like a one set goal. There's like Xanax saying, we have to discover something down there.
Yeah. I think for myself, I liked that it had multiple stories going on. I think the issue for me was I didn't find any one of them particularly compelling, as in just finding out that a dwarf existed there. It's like, okay, great. Mm-hmm. And you find out about the first chosen commander within the first room of it. And then,
right. And then
just finding a room behind Bandos's thing, and it's like, oh, me touching it opened it.
Right, it takes to level 100 to get that emotion off, even though you discover at level 76.
Yeah, I think it's just that none of it is interesting enough to really drive the whole site.
To me, I feel like they kind of had really strong stories for the first two. And then we're like, well, we gotta involve all the gods, and then we're kind of scraping for additional stories they could tell.
I agree.
And so they did a good job of tying it into other sites, I think. But again, it was just kind of this issue of, all right, you've tied it into the other sites, but now what?
Sure. Yeah. It's still a good site. I will say that it's definitely not my least favorite. Like Warforge has got a lot of cool imagery going on. It's got very much its own style.
It does a really good job.
A lot of good lore buff. Sure. Yes, I agree. That and the tunnels are a very cool area.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
I haven't been there, but I've read about them. I think just the way that you kind of have to explore and puzzle stuff together is really good, kind of like Caridat. Caridat has some really excellent puzzles in it, too. I'm actually almost disappointed that Stormguard and, Stormguard and,
Everyone has a really good puzzle. Don't
it has the
a
tile puzzle that I can't do for, like, 60 more levels.
No, it has one layer up. Don't worry about that. It has a good puzzle with the shields.
Okay. Awesome.
Stormguard, I can't say it has a puzzle now.
No, Stormguard's pretty much just find the items and get an artifact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed to hear that Stormguard doesn't have, like, a mechanical puzzle anywhere, especially related to the golem.
Yeah, it's just
I felt like it would be a good place to have some cool golem lore and maybe, like, a mini programming puzzle, kind of like Elemental Workshop.
Have you seen Avengers Infinity War? Yeah, just use 6 gems on the gauntlet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I think they got through most of everything with all the sites. I can't think of anything major to fall back on.
Beyond that, I guess just the writing on the wall lore, and that's it.
Oh, right on the wall, sure. There's a hidden organization which persisted through all these sites, and they know our name. Or I feel like tell me if you have a different theory, but it's Tony that wrote those things, right?
Yeah, that would be mine as well. I mean, it happens, isn't it, when you after the ceremony for you becoming Guildmaster, something happens every single time.
Except that time.
And it's meant to be Tony, except for that time where then the writing appears. So it makes sense.
Good. Okay. Same page. Yeah, and I'm curious to see how they follow that up. Obviously, they won't require 99 archaeology to follow it up, but they'll follow it up. And I think they handled the writing on the walls in a good way, where you're just discovering the history of the organization. Like, it's not setting up the future story; it's just telling you that it's there, where you don't have to require 99 archaeology. And like, if this organization pops up in something else, you won't feel like you missed anything because you didn't have 99 archaeology.
Yeah, I think Trindine, her coming into it, she should have been something more similar to the writing on the wall, where it's lore about her, perhaps, or some like item of hers you can give to her at a later point, or something like that.
Or you can like figure out where she is.
Yeah, so like you get a hint for whenever a quest comes out in 5 years or whatever.
Yeah. And then I was just like, "Come here, we have to go free Trindine." Yeah, I agree.
mean, honestly, I just would have been really fine with her stepping out and asking you what the hell you were doing after solving the first puzzle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really see any reason why she needed to be locked behind all 4.
That mystery is very hands-on, where you want to be involved with it for a future story, whereas I think the Writing on the Walls, it's very hands-off. You didn't have to have seen this. It's just a very good teasers.
Yeah, I will say a lot of the skill feels like story setup. And Dungeoneering did the same thing, where while the story was very good and you were interested in it for the most part, it did feel like a lot of setup for future events.
Also, I think it came together with so very, very weird tangent, but with Writings on the Walls, you kind of figure out why you were sent to these 5 places was to like track this cult through the sites.
Yeah.
But when we finish Infernal Source and you get that ending cutscene, the question is posed by Tony's voice of why did the site want to show us Dagon or this portal to Infernus or stuff like that. I feel like that had nothing. Welcome back, Lime. It feels like the Dagon and that stuff had nothing to do with the cult, and that was. I felt like the monolith was pointing to like these 5 like key people or points or stuff like that were going to come together at the end. Whereas the Rings were like, no, we just want to show you like the general sites as to where this cult was.
Yep. So unless they're implying that the cult there was involved, I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like we were trying to like assemble like almost the Avengers in a way, where we're trying to like put together these pieces that were going to get us to this solution, where it ended up just being, according to writings, just seeing the place.
Very, very curious to where it's going to go next, story-wise.
Yeah.
Because also having stuff like Writing on the Wall, still leaves Orthan in this weird place of like, how is it going to fit into the overall story?
Sure, and I agree that I think there's going to be some meta narrative that is just reserved for these 5 sites. That's not going to continue to other sites in archaeology, but there might be some pieces that maybe Tony, especially because Orthan is so well planned into, and its T is currently in game, and they've talked about it a lot, that maybe that does fall a piece into it. But I don't think if they did a parameter site, they would tie any of these pieces into it.
So
are we done with?
Yeah.
There is one last thing. For a future site, what would you guys like to see? Because for me, I'm going all in on the Crandor train. Like,
you are.
I want to really like Crandor, but at the same time, I feel like there's just not really anything of value to learn there.
I feel like it's so recent; it's hard to do. Cool. It's so recent. It's 100 years ago.
It's a great excuse to rework that terrible-looking graphic.
But also, like, it was this powerful magocracy with a lot of trade. It was the equal of Varrock and Falador. Like, come on.
Yeah. To me, a really big one that I want to see is Tarthiad.
Okay. Oh, the off-world one.
I think you get minus points for being off-world off the bat, but you can probably pose a good case for it.
Oh, another thing for Crandor, it would be underwater.
Oh, true.
Underwater.
Okay. I can get with that.
So, do you have one?
I think I have to go for Ketsy. I've always loved it.
Okay. That'd be a good second Dragonkin site too. Like, you tie very well. You could tie that very well into Orthan. Keep that action stuff going.
It's got a lot of empty space around that not agility course too. Plus,
Walter has wants it to be inside somebody's house, and it's just their house, and they're the site manager. That person is probably in Lumbridge, though the city with the worst foundations.
Bob's X's dig site.
Is that just love story? Is that just love story?
The April Fool's joke was pretty good too. I did like that.
Just to rapid fire them, I like the Karamja idea. I think obviously you could do something with like the Karazi or something like that.
Yeah, Karamja's got a lot of history with Karazi, with all the demons. I think it's definitely got a lot of space. It's got an area that's worth graphically reworking to go along with it as well. It's got good history, and ties into the God Wars and how Zamorak kind of played around with different humans.
Sure.
Kiwi's line went to Karamja, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I also like Centaur Burial Ground, just so we can get Death of Shribbler too.
Oh, there you go. Another one I really want is like in Menaphos dig site.
Like the Worker District, or
like all the flooded bits in the Worker District.
All right, Shattered. Shifting Tombs should be an archaeology minigame.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So it's Dungeoneering.
best archaeologists break lots of pots.
Just because I have to shove it anywhere into the skull, you could do Honto because Zautak destroyed the Jade Palace after it fell. You could do the Seeker Synapse because there's some creepy ass shit there that's remnants of Dungeoneering. You could do the Siren Shell because there's an old Siren Society that fell apart there.
I would actually be really interested in some proper Eastern Lands archaeology because of the tie to Everlight.
Yeah, I mean Siren Shell would then be the perfect one, right?
Because and we've already got one digs material cache on Waiko, right?
Yep, Soapstone.
All right, here's an idea. We skip the skull and go directly to the hook.
It's just how it love ups.
Yes, there's just like an empty space on the map.
There's no way to beat our amazing skull pitch, so they just skip it.
Yeah, they just skip to the hook. Like that. That's it.
There you go.
And you're just excavating love tubs.
I saw a suggestion for a Prifdhanos Undercity one.
Oh,
it's fine.
I'm not super sold on that because, like, what is there to dig up since the city was shrunk into crystal?
I mean, and we've also seen what it was, right? Like, we saw the camp there. It was just a camp.
Which is why I'm not so sold on it, but something Saren related I would be very big on, which is why I
would
said
say and you have the perfect site manager for a Saren site, right? You take Backstorian.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. But yeah, I think giving Saren a site would be something I would be very interested in.
That's probably a high priority.
Yeah.
All right, but let's be
and then Hellring had a really good suggestion for an archaeological restoration of Naragon.
Yeah, it was decent. They had some good ideas for using.
it felt unique within the skill, which I liked. What's the most obvious one I'm missing? Go on. Tell me. You got this, Walter.
And we begin digging. And we get all these troll relics, and we discover that they had a powerful... Oh, Sliske.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Sure.
There's just... It's very rich, because there's a lot of places where it's like, I would like to learn about this history, and all they have to do is slap down a couple spots on the ground and write and translate a couple lore books, technically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I suppose that wilderness site would be a bad idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go away. With Wilderness 2 being properly told about and canned, yeah, that would be a bad idea.
At the very least, excited for Orthan. It sounds like there's good plans for that, and Anachronia stuff would be welcome. And I want more archaeology as soon as possible. So whatever's in the pipeline, give it.
Hand it over. I hope we don't have to wait as long as Archaeology is Invention Batch 2, but this skill is complete from 1 to 120.
Yeah, definitely. I've
clear gaps, but it's fine.
I'm gonna guess Orthan for September.
That would work.
And I'm gonna guess we need desperate measures first, so let's put that in July.
And I'm expecting something to do with City of Suntiston at some point.
December. Say we got this.
I'm thinking big summer update's still going to be Elder God Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Jagex always has a big summer update.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of thing that draws in a lot of people with big PVM.
And it'll definitely throw the new relics and stuff in there.
It'll give you probably your first real chance to play around with new stuff using the new stuff you've gotten from Invention, with the new weapons, the new gizmos, the new perks.
Same way God Wars Dungeon 2 times Invention, right?
Exactly.
I still think that cashing out on the original God Wars idea is a bad idea, and I've got a certain anxiety about Elder God Wars Dungeon because it feels like it could go so wrong.
I'm anxious about it because I didn't think God Wars Dungeon 2 did a very good job with its story.
It didn't.
But I feel like they've got a really good basis for the conflict with this one, with something to do with when going against the other ones and full just being combatant and stuff. They have more of a basis here than where Dungeon 2. I feel like they picked the factions first, and then they try to make conflict around it, whereas here they have the faction conflict already kind of brewing on.
With GWD2, it even felt like they picked the factions and then kind of backed themselves into a corner and had to write their way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, even the mini-quest, it didn't really go anywhere, the story didn't go anywhere, the mechanic of the whole, claiming your faction and fighting turned out way less cool than it sounded on paper.
Yeah, I think
I'm really hoping this is,
scoped
scoped properly, and it's focused on making some really excellent boss fights with some interesting story.
Yeah, with characters that will hopefully just play a part in the story, and they can, use that budget correctly to make ongoing characters, whereas they just try to shove Vindicta and whatever they can kind of fall to the wayside.
Yep. They've done their thing, now move along.
Yeah. So should we wrap up again?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that's everything.
This has been the skill from a lore perspective. We kind of glossed over mechanics as hard as possible. Soil is but
oh yeah, soil's cool. Good job on soil.
Yeah,
dig.
There was a lot of negativity going on, but there's definitely a general consensus that it was good. I think.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the negativity and nitpicking just comes from the fact that at least for me, I really enjoyed the skill and continue to enjoy the skill. And there are just moments where it's like, this could be a little bit better here. This could work out a little more interestingly here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm definitely very much enjoyed it, and we'll keep going to 120 for sure.
I would say this is probably the best skill release they've had in a long time.
Dungeoneering comes close, but...
yeah, I would say, but even taking Dungeoneering into account, it kind of ended at 71 back then.
Yeah, and that's a huge nostalgia factor going on with that as well.
This is a skill that launched that felt truly complete from 1 to 120 at launch. Interesting content, most steps along the way. I'm very impressed. they did good. Really proud of you, Jagex.
And I just got level 90.
Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations.
Become a professor. That's the one.
All right.
Well, we'll be back eventually.
At some point.
Yep.
Yeah, whenever we have something to talk about, I'll probably do like a solo or like a couple people introspective on Anachronia and where it ended
You keep
up.
saying that every time.
I do, and eventually I'll actually sit down and do it.
And I'll try to get the stream back up and running because it definitely died during this, and
It did.
I'd like it to be an option going forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so very much for listening. Thank you so much, Lime, for finally returning. And thank you,
you for
Sliske,
having me.
for hopping
Lime.
in. Congratulations on 200 mil XP. That's really exciting.
Thanks, Zoink. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. If you ever want to join in on any of these, let us know. You were a wonderful guest.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. Thank you, listeners, for, listening. If you enjoyed this, tell your friends, subscribe, like, talk to us. We'd like to hear from you. And, thank you, Jagex, for releasing this awesome skill.
All right.
Bye.
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 Bye.